Alright, Commander, now it's time to turn the tables. We've been on the giving end for all of these lessons so far, but if you don't know how to defend your fleet, you might as well not be in command. Defending against anti-ship missiles is a complex topic, and I can't possibly cover everything in the course of this lesson. But at the very least, I'll get you started. I've placed 3 markers for the course we'll travel along for this to work best. Go ahead and set waypoint course from Atlas, where we are now, to Boxer and Comet. If you reach the end at any point, just plot a new path in the reverse order. I've also disabled your offensive weapons, so you don't accidentally, or on purpose, destroy the shooter or spotter ships I'll be controlling, as well as a few other systems that we'll unlock as we go over them.
Moving out.
And don't worry, everything I'm going to fire at you are inert training missiles with no warhead. Let's begin. It might seem ridiculous to say, but a lot of people don't consider that the best way to defend against missiles is to simply not be where the enemy has fired them at. The ship I'll be firing from is about 17 kilometers away. With the speeds these missiles travel at, it'll take them about 75 seconds to reach their acquisition range. When a missile is fired at a track, the target's last known position and velocity are programmed into the missile immediately before launch, so it can figure out how to lead the target. The good news is that 75 seconds is a lot of time for us to not be where the missile thinks we're going to be when it starts its search. When we talk about ASMD, we group defensive measures into 2 categories, soft kill and hard kill. We'll talk about soft kill first, as it pairs very well with the evasive maneuvers we'll do for this first salvo. The rightmost set of buttons on the ship information bar controls your point defense doctrine. The decoy button controls when the point defense controller will automatically fire decoys. If you set it to manual, you will need to fire the decoys yourself via the action menu. It's best to leave this one on one of the other 3 options. The least option will use the decoy with the lowest capability necessary to defeat the threat. Best will always use the highest capability. Auto will fire all necessary decoys. The type of decoy necessary for the threat can only be determined if we have sufficient intelligence on the missile, which can be developed rapidly by the ES-32 Scryer module, which this ship is carrying. If we don't have this information, one of every type of our onboard decoys will be fired. The decoys we have available on the ship are the EA-12 Chaff decoy and the EA-99 Conure active decoy. Chaff decoys are an expanding cloud of reflective metal strips which create a much larger radar return than the ship that launched them. This presents a more appealing target to the missile and will hopefully draw it off, a tactic called seduction. Active decoys radiate their own energy and can mimic the signature of the launching ship, making them useful against more advanced missiles, which are also looking for the ship's radar emissions. Now, we're going to use evasive maneuvers in conjunction with these decoys to totally avoid the first salvo. In fact, I'm so confident you'll be able to do it that I've totally disabled all our other point defenses. I'm going to launch the first salvo now. When you detect the missiles, change course at least 90 degrees, but preferably more like 120 degrees, away from your current direction of travel. Don't do it preemptively, or the missiles will adjust their lead based on your new velocity vector. Wait until you detect them on radar. Alright, the first salvo is on its way. After you issue the order to change course, raise the throttle to flank speed to get that extra emergency thruster power. As your course change begins to take effect, dump a chaff decoy, or 3, with Shift-Z to give the missile something to focus on while we make our escape. Manually firing decoys will fire one of each available passive decoy type. Active decoys will not be fired as they require a target to know how to fly away from the ship. If you want to fire an active decoy, right-click on one of the missile tracks and use the DCY button at the top of the action menu. The button will be highlighted in yellow to show you it will be for a specific threat rather than a generic decoy order.
On the way, Commander. Spider. Moving out.
Nicely done, Commander. Go ahead and get us back on course for either Point Atlas or Comet, and we'll continue. Don't forget to come back down from flank speed.
Copy that. Moving. On the way, Commander.
Evasive maneuvers can do a lot for you when it comes to avoiding missiles fired at long range. If you do them right, you won't even need to fire in defense. But unfortunately, some more advanced missiles can follow your course changes, like the next salvo I've just launched.
How can we help today, Commander?
While we wait, this is a great time to talk about hard kill. Many missile threats simply can't be avoided by evasive maneuvers. The missiles that are on their way now have a command mid-course guidance configuration, so they will follow any course changes we make. For this, we'll need to rely on a combination of soft and hard kill techniques. You can change course if you want, and watch them follow us. Deploying chaff is always a good idea. It's cheap and plentiful, and it may save your life. But it usually won't draw every missile away, so we'll need to deal with the remaining missiles somehow. The simplest of the hard kill methods is point defense turrets. This ship is equipped with 3 Mark 20 Defender 20mm autocannons and 2 Mark 90 Aurora laser turrets. All of these weapons have their own integrated fire control systems, so once they have been cued to an area by the ship's radar, they can lock their own targets and develop their own firing solution. If you want to take a more hands-on approach, you can manually prioritize targets with the Z key or by using the PD button on the action menu. Generally, this isn't necessary, as the PD controller automatically prioritizes threats by size, distance, speed, and whether they're actually coming towards the ship or not. The ship will always defend itself before defending others. Great job! Now get us back on course again.
How can we help today,
Alright,
Commander?
we have one more type of hard kill to consider. Interceptor missiles. These are missiles specifically designed to intercept and destroy incoming missiles. They are the most flexible form of PD, but also the most limited in quantity. This ship is carrying 40 SGM-112 Ripostes, a command-guided interceptor missile. Let's go through the options available by clicking the PD missile button and expanding the menu. The first option is the firing mode. By default, this is set to Doctrine, meaning that all missiles will be fired at all threats that it was designed for. By flipping it over to All, we can disregard those settings and the missile will be used against all threats. On the other hand, Manual will only fire at targets you have prioritized. Next is Firing Policy, which governs the number of salvos we'll fire at each threat. The next salvo will only be fired after the previous one misses. Following that is Salvo Size, which determines the number of missiles in each of the salvos from above. Setting this to Doctrine will refer to the missile type's default setting, usually 1 missile. And finally, last salvo will fire another salvo at the threat at the last possible moment, even if the previous salvos have not arrived. I know that was a lot, but managing these settings will help you economize your defensive missiles. They always go faster than you think they will. Interceptor missiles excel at defeating threats at a much longer range than most other point defenses are capable of. That's extremely important when it comes to the most dangerous types of missiles we'll talk about next: hybrids. Hybrid missiles are advanced, multi-stage missiles which can wreak havoc on a fleet if not countered during their cruise stage. Once they initiate their terminal sprint, a laser is about the only thing that can stop them. Imagine trying to shoot down a corkscrewing telephone pole, traveling at nearly 1 kilometer per second, and that's what facing a hybrid missile is like. Some of these missiles also carry penetration aids, such as self-screening radar jammers and decoy launchers. Fortunately, you don't actually have to imagine, because I've got 4 of them on the way. If you want to make any changes to your PD missile doctrine, better do it now.
Spiker on the scope. Got you 5 by 5. Spiker on the scope. They're taking shots at us.
Phew, wasn't that crazy? You can usually expect the enemy to reserve these kinds of missiles for killing capital ships, due to their destructive power, cost, and limited number. The best way to defend against them is with proper positioning of screening escorts, which can enable early detection so you can get your defensive missiles out there and engage them during their vulnerable crew stage. Well, Commander, that about covers it for the absolute basics of ASMD. Good luck out there. Hazel out.